hole in the brain and go, or the skull and go in. And, oh yeah. I know it. I thank God every day. I'm extremely religious in many ways.
She sound?
You know, you would think so, but my faith has always been so strong. You know, there's a saying in AA and in
Are we ready?
the wisdom knows different.
Call to order a regular meeting, Warren City Council, Tuesday, February 28th at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
President Green.
Here.
Councilman Lafferty.
Here.
Councilman Watts.
Here.
Councilman Kabazinski.
Present.
Councilman Papandrea.
Here.
Councilwoman Rovency is absent. Councilwoman Moore is present. You have a quorum, Mr. President. Motion to excuse the absent member.
Support.
Motion, support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Rogency is excused. Next item.
Next item is 4, adoption of the consent agenda. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion?
Discussion.
Minister Watts.
I'd like to remove 4B, the field inspection services, and put it on a regular agenda for discussion.
Okay.
That would be 14C.
That'll be 14C. 4B. Any other?
I would like to remove item 4F.
4F.
That will be 14D.
Okay. Any other? Call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kabazinski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passes 6-0. Next item.
Next item is 5, adoption of the agenda. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion?
Yes, what was 4B on the consent agenda will now be 14C, and what was 4F will now be 14D.
Any other discussion? Call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kabazinski?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 6-0. Next item.
Next item is 6A, calendar of pending matters. Motion to receive and file with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Yes, I would just like to iterate on April 28th, 2020, this council requested a copy of all signed ethics pledges for appointees and employees as required by the city's ethics ordinance. Yes, it is. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, let me start over. On April 28th, 2020, the council approved sending a request to the administration for the signed ethics pledge documents for appointees and employees as required by the ethics ordinance. As many of you remember that when Mayor Fouts was first elected, he made a big deal about having an ethics policy and having all appointees sign that ethics pledge. And we are asking to see those. I would reiterate my request for those documents.
Any additional? Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty with the added item. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item.
Next item is 6B, discussion in-ray resident and neighborhood concerns.
Ms. Moore.
Yes. I want to discuss a resident concern that is concerning our fire stations where our firemen are residents. We have a huge budget in this city, and the firehouses, the firemen are receiving handouts from other communities of furniture because our stuff is so horrible. These stations are deplorable. We redid the kitchens, and substandard appliances were ordered. We have to have commercial dishwashers and washers and dryers. These things are breaking already. If any of you would step foot into any of the stations, you would be absolutely appalled. And we need to make sure that these people that are spending 24 hours a day in these places, they're living there, they need to have better accommodations, and it's a darn shame that they have to take handouts from other communities that are taking care of their people better than we are. That is a shame. And I'd also, we need to look into what's happened to some of the equipment at some of the stations when other equipment was replaced. There's a procedure to follow in the city of getting rid of any property that's owned by the city, so we're going to have to look into that a little bit. Maybe what I'm hearing is not the truth, but we're going to find out if it is. Thank you.
Any additional?
Mr. President?
Mr. Watts.
I got a few items. First item is I brought this to the table numerous times, and I keep getting complaints from over there. I drive over there, I take a look, and indeed, the resident has a legitimate complaint, and the resident tells me that he, from time to time, sees property maintenance drive by, and they never stop. But one of the problems, it's on Wexford south of 14, and one particular address, 32616, they continually leave the garbage cans in front of the house, and they're overloaded. The garbage is blowing around. Secondly, once the garbage is emptied, the cans are in the street for 3, 4, 5 days sometimes. And I don't know what it's going to take to get this issue resolved, but I mean, I drive over there and I witness it, so I know they're telling me the truth. So if they could take a look at that and do some enforcement on Wexford south of 14, 32600 block, that'd be fantastic. Appreciate it. Secondly, it goes along with the trash can, and I know I sent a couple of pictures over to Patrick for Republic Street, but last council meeting, we had Miss Brown, lives on Republic, came up and said that she had been written a warning for her trash can not being behind the gate. And they came up, they put, they wrote a violation warning notice, put it in a baggie, stuck it on the door. I happened to be in the neighborhood that day, and she called me, and I was like right around the corner. And I passed a property maintenance car, and they drove by 3 automotive places in the distance that I seen them that had multiple junk cars out in front of the buildings, stacked up everywhere, no plates on them, what have you. And then if you could run through a couple of those, Patrick, I appreciate it. So then I drove through the neighborhood after that complaint, and then I went back again this last week and I drove through, and I can't tell you how many places I'm seeing with the garbage cans that are setting up at the front porch, they're setting out in the front yard. I was at a fire the other night on Westminster, and there was garbage cans sitting right out by the sidewalk in the front yard, and they're full of garbage. But they had the audacity to go over and write a violation to a lady that has complained about the problems she's having in her neighborhood, so the payback for trying to be a good person and do the right thing is, we'll come and write you a violation and pick on you, but we'll drive by the 150 other trash cans that are out. To me, that's an abuse of power. I don't know who's doing that. I don't know if the mayor's sending somebody over there or what, but that kind of nonsense, either you enforce the law or you don't enforce the law. But I think that everybody needs to know that there's selective enforcement going on in this community, and it needs to be one way or the other. So, and especially if, like Ms. Brown, she had to wait for somebody to put her can behind the gate because the can's too big for her to handle. So I feel that they picked on her, and I don't think that's right, and they need to address every other trash can issue if they're going to address hers. The other issue I have is I was in the neighborhood of 9 and Hoover on Sunday, and the pot smell in the residential area is unbelievable from the grow operations. I don't know which grow operation it's from, but I brought up Frazo and Grospec a while back. Actually, I got a call from them, and they gave me some other addresses, but funny thing of it is, none of those places are actually growing yet. They're still under construction. I was at 14 in DeQuinder the other day for a little get-together with some friends, and everybody that came into the restaurant said, "Do you smell all the pot out there?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's a grow operation out back." You know, listen, I don't have any problem with these grow operations, so to speak. If you're going to grow stuff and sell it elsewhere, whatever, no big deal. But you're terrorizing our neighborhoods with the smell. And we have, I would assume we have an enforcement division somewhere in City Hall under zoning, building, that should be checking these operations out and making sure they're following the rules. You know, these people that run these grows, they don't live in this community, but these residents have to smell this every day, and they don't want to go outside and smell it. I think it's a simple thing. If they just change the filtration filters on a regular basis, we wouldn't be having these problems. So that's it. So then the other thing was, I got a complaint from a resident down in District 5 on Hudson Street about some flags. And I went to check it out. And a year ago, I looked up the documents on this, and one of our colleagues up here wanted to write tickets and make it a misdemeanor for anybody who had a tattered flag. Well, when I went to District 5, the picture on the screen is what I found. And I find it appalling that somebody would want to write citizens a ticket, but yet they're flying tattered flags like this. So hopefully that person will resolve that issue, and we won't have to look at that anymore.
Any additional?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any additional?
Mr. President.
Mr. Lafferty?
Thank you. One concern, specific to the property behind Old Universal Mall. I was driving through there regular trips to Kroger, and this is behind the MGR Theater. And there appears to be some storage by a contractor, Worry-Free Outdoor Services. And they're storing equipment such as front loaders, excavators. There are 3 enormous holding tanks. I don't know if that's for non-potable water or for chemicals, not certain. There's an electrical transformer, miscellaneous bricks and building materials, and even a shipping container. And the growth of this storage just continues to compound, and it's not getting any better. I was hoping that previous reports would have deterred the growth, but it has not. So the building departments and zoning could get out there. That's behind Old Universal Mall, directly behind the fence line of the squared-in property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional? Is there a motion to send these items over to the administration for action?
So moved.
Support Lafferty.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Next item is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 14th, 2023. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item.
8A, approval of the bills of the general revenue funds. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Discussion? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Papandreou?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 6-0. Next item.
Next item is 8B, approval of the bills of the water and sewer system. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Discussion? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Papandreou?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 6-0. Next item.
Audience.
Members of the audience who would like to address council this evening may do so under this portion. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak. When there's 1 minute left, I'll let you know, and when there's 3 minutes, I'll ask you to wrap it up. First speaker is Phil Paquette.
Thank you. Hello. Hope everybody's well. My name is Philip Paquette. My address is 27414 El Capitan Drive.
Mr. Paquette, sorry, before you start, this is the public hearing part, or this is the audience part. You'll have 3 minutes to speak here. You'll also we'll have a public hearing, I think, on the item that you're here about. So you have an opportunity to speak there as well, if you so choose. I just want to let everybody know this is the audience participation, but you'll have 2 opportunities to speak if you like. so.
Okay.
Go ahead, I just want to let everybody know before,
Well, if anything, new comes up, I'll
sorry to interrupt.
readdress it.
Go ahead and start, sir.
Thank you. So I oppose the proposed rezoning of the Ryan Road properties that you're going to discuss tonight for the following reasons. One, the influx of new people that would move into the proposed units in such a relatively small space and short period of time would disrupt a long-established harmony of what is and has been a close-knit community and neighborhood. Two, the increased traffic congestion would only add to an already precarious situation for anyone exiting Dwight onto northbound Ryan, especially during rush hour times. And with the mountain construction gearing up in construction season, gearing up, more traffic gets diverted to Ryan, so Ryan is going to be backing up even more. And then you're going to try to put construction on a property on a corner, so that's going to be a mess. The rezoning will decrease the market value of my home and/or slow any future market growth. My parents bought the house in 1966. My mom passed away approximately 18 months ago when I bought the house. So I've been in the area, I've been in the community, I invested. Yes, I'm going to be retiring, 10 years, and I want my property values to go up, not come down. Okay, without a 24-hour guard at the building site, proposed building site, my home insurance will surely increase due to lack of security measures and give criminals easy access to the neighborhood and the neighboring backyards on this property. If they don't put up a 8-foot cyclone fence and chain that all off,
1 minute.
you're going to have people coming in trying to rip off, steal everything that ain't bolted down. In case of an emergency, especially at the rear of the property from the previous proposal, what I saw of the drawing, the way it's laid out, I fear that in case of an emergency situation, the proposed design with only one entrance and exit, if I remember right, will be bad for first responders trying to get in as well as residents trying to get out, and put all neighboring homes at a greater risk of damage. That's a small area. It's going to be congested. They've got one road in, one road out. Something happens. As street lights will have to be erected so residents at the rear of the property can see at night, these same lights will intrude on neighboring backyards
3 minutes.
and offer no privacy. That's
Thank you,
it?
sir.
That was 3? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alyssa Wynn.
Hello. I am in favor of the rezoning of the Warren property. As a person of a younger generation, I feel like it would add a lot of value to the neighborhood. I live right down the street from there. We just bought the house about 2 years ago, but I've lived in Warren since I was about 13. I feel like there's not a lot of new development in the sense of rentals. Most of the development that I've seen in Warren in the past, 20 years, has been mostly like those big houses that are $400,000, and like a lot of those don't even end up getting finished. There's all those empty lots, like at 13 and Mound and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm nervous. And I just think that having more options for the younger generations who can't afford to actually buy houses because of just the economy and everything that's happened with the COVID-19 pandemic, it would bring a nice new place where young families can move into. And that's it.
Thank you. Ed Miller.
Good evening. Ma'am? Ma'am?
Oh, yes.
My name is Ed Miller. I've been a resident 22 years. The building of a two-story condominium property to the east of mine is totally ridiculous. One, taxes on the property go back to 7 years and more in arrears, and they have been transferred to the county. The water, gas, sewage, and electricity and the infrastructure do not support this. There is underground water on those two lots. 2 producing wells were closed in without a permit. Proof of this is in the U.S. Geological Survey, which I have given to the rezoning committee. I have copies with me now if you'd like to see them. 6-foot tall insulating wall is proposed. Insulating who from whom? Insulating wall equates out to a fancy word of segregation. Segregated communities, no matter how slight or for whatever reason, are against the law, both county, federal, state, and municipal. Excuse me, I have to. According to a report that I have lost, and I wish I could find it, the DNR has deemed that water as drinkable. I pump 250 gallons a day from a sump pump on my property, 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year, for 20 years. It equates out to approximately 1.5 million gallons of water. You can't build on top of flowing water. Warren Historical Society across the hall has 2 maps.
1 minute.
Behind plexiglass. They show 3 running waters: Red Run, Big Beaver Creek, and Bear River. You're going off on top of them. There are no 2-story condominiums on the west side of Bryan, anywhere between 696 and 13 Mile. I do not appreciate someone looking out the 2nd-story window into my backyard or my bedroom. I hope the brick wall does not go up. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to look at it. I do. You don't have to live with it. I would. Don't let him build. Single-story, ranch-type dwelling, yes. In his proposed drawing, there's no 2-lane egress and exit, just 1 egress and exit of 2 lanes.
3 minutes.
It would not allow emergency vehicles any access or egress if the possibility were to befall any resident.
Which way does this go?
I think I've covered it about all. I have copies of the USGS survey with me. If the rezoning committee does not pass it on, either through error or design, I am glad to submit them here and now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Kevin Kurz.
Excuse me, is there a misunderstanding on when we talk? Did we get this cleared up?
I'm sorry?
A lot of people don't know that we're supposed to go through something first.
Clarify when to speak on the public hearing.
I was told that, We could speak.
Can I get a motion to suspend the rules?
later on, right? There's
Motion to
audience
suspend the rules.
participation.
Support Lafferty.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sir, there will be a public hearing on this item later on the agenda. This is the audience participation.
That's
People-
when you want to hear most of.
People can speak at both.
You speak anytime now?
They're limited to 3 minutes here. They're limited to staying on topic during the public participation, or public hearing portion. And that's agenda item 11C. It's not uncommon. Mr. Kurz, you have the floor.
Motion to resume the rules.
Good evening, council. My name is Kevin Kurz. I'm here very frustrated because of the power outage. I can't run a business being out of power for 7 days. I mean, I know it's not you guys, but something's got to be done with this because I can't run a business. I'm actually thinking about shutting Warren down and just going back to Arizona and running it from there. They have a lot better reliable power than they do here. This is the 11th time I have been out of power here, and I'm very frustrated. I can't do what I need to do. I'm way behind, and what are we gonna have to do when it comes back on? Work 3 times the hours to make up for it. I can't do that, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm very frustrated. The mayor's aware of it, and I'm open to any ideas because I'm still out, and the house is way too cold. I'm not going to have anybody in there. It's in the 30s, but I just would like to make the council aware of it, and that's probably all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we spoke today.
Correct, we did.
Yeah, a couple of us did, so
Yep. Thanks again.
thank you.
Yep.
Mark Abraham?
Short list tonight. Hi, my name is Mark Abraham. My address is 5291 Parker Road. I operate a business here in Warren at 24649 Mound Road. Anyways, my company's name is Venco, and I'm here to discuss item 13A, which is opting out of recreational marijuana. At the last meeting, I already spoke about this. Unfortunately, the person that I was hoping, to hear my story was Mr. Kawasinski, who wasn't here when I came up first time. So I'm bringing this back up again. Mr. Kawasinski, at that last meeting, you made a reference to the cannabis operators, here in Warren as, if I heard it correctly, drug cartels. I can assure you that the licensed operators like myself are not drug cartels. That hurt my feelings. I mean, right down to the core. It really did. I, like you, served in the military. When I came home to Michigan after my stint, I started a trucking company here in Warren. For 34 years, I've had drivers that were domiciled here in Warren. I worked for Art Van, GM, Chrysler, and even Gardner White when they were here the first time, and now they're back, thank goodness. All based right here. I've created over 200 jobs in Warren. Granted, not big compared to some, but for a small trucking company, pretty substantial. I volunteer every minute I have. I think a lot of board members have seen me out volunteering. That's what I do. I love this community. I love the people here, and I love what we're trying to accomplish. But, I work for the Warming Center in McRest and Cruising 53. I do everything I can do. Today, I operate a licensed grow and processing center here in Warren. And I was also selected to be one of the 15, famously 15, that were selected for provisioning a while back. And unfortunately, that lawsuit has gone on. It's about to settle, hopefully in the next couple weeks. Today, I am here to implore the City Council, please, to prepare an adult use provisioning ordinance, not to opt out of adult use provisioning. To put that on a ballot would be just so terrible. On October 8th, 2019, Warren committed to license 15 provisioning centers. I know that the board members in this city make good on their commitment. I don't expect anything different will change. We're going to win this lawsuit in the Supreme Court. It's going to settle any day. And I'm asking everybody here, please don't consider opting out. I would much rather see you spend your time putting an ordinance together to opt in for that when we win this case. Start collecting the $1 million we're missing every month in tax revenue. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Christina D.
Christina. I'm also here to speak about marijuana. I'm a local business owner for about 9 years now. I've paid my taxes on time. I've maintained the property. I've been a good neighbor, as well as always helping out in the local community. I'm a wife and mother of 2 boys who are in elementary school. I'm also the kind of person who would be interested in a recreational marijuana sales license type. It's unfair to label people in this industry like we are bad people. Most of us are really no different than anyone else. We've just chosen to explore the opportunities in a new industry that's forming. Because of the state of Michigan's financial requirements for medical marijuana, it was extremely hard to qualify for that type of license for most people. Recreational fixed that, which allows for just about everyone, minus some background checks, etc., to qualify for that license type, which allows for diversity in ownership type. It allows for big and small businesses to come into Warren. This is the license type for people who have been here in Warren years before marijuana was ever mentioned. Recently, the Marijuana Regulation Fund just announced some of its payouts to various cities who have recreational sales licenses for the 2022 year. That money should be directly deposited from the state of Michigan within the next couple days for these communities. Hazel Park is receiving just over $400,000. Centerline is receiving just over $400,000 to help their community. And of the almost $60 million from the state of Michigan for the 2022 sales year being paid to these communities who allow recreational sales licenses, the city of Warren is receiving 0. What we should be doing is discussing in what ways do we want to allow recreational sales in Warren to benefit Warren. Those opposed to it are extremely important as well, because those loud voices also allow for accountability. These businesses should not be running in Warren without being good community members. There shouldn't be smells, there shouldn't be too much traffic. These businesses who want to be here should be respectful of this city. By choosing to opt out of recreational sales, what you're doing is you're choosing not to support the community and small businesses that are already here in the city of Warren. Thank you.
Thank you. Curtis Lastash.
Good evening, Council. Just 2 things. The first thing is our church runs a food pantry. Macomb County told us that our food ministry is the biggest pantry in all of Macomb County. South Warren, 9 Mile Road, east of Van Dyke. Last month we served 5,377 people with food. And we're busting at the seams in our building. If anybody knows of another building in South Warren, we've been there for 31 plus years. We've never stopped serving South Warren, and we have a long history in that location. We need more space. If anybody knows of anything, maybe one of you guys do. Mr. Kapuzinski's been to our pantry a couple times and has brought food to our pantry. We gave out more than 130,000 pounds of food last month to the residents in South Warren, and we're kind of proud of that. The other thing is, last week at the meeting, I brought up the issue with the signs that I felt were inappropriate. I'm glad to see they're not here today. The other issue is, we had somebody come to the microphone, use profanity, vulgarity, and cuss words, not called out, but the person from the audience that called him out, he was escorted out of the council meeting. Nothing was said about the person that used foul language. I think that's just wrong. The person that would stand here in a professional place with expected proper decorum would be the one that should have been escorted out. Just not appropriate for this kind of setting and for this place. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Michael Bavard?
Good evening, Council. My name is Mike Bavard. I've lived in Warren on and off for over 40 years. I'm just here to address a couple things. I was here about 3 months ago, and I had a few things to say about how you folks are doing your job up there. I wonder if any of you know who Irma Henderson was. Any of you know who she was? She was Detroit City Councilwoman for 17 years. 12 of those years, she was president. She was a woman that she would come out and speak to people personally. I know because I was a police officer in the city and I rode with her a few times, talked to her in restaurants. She really cared about that city. She talked to folks in businesses, she talked to police officers, she kept up with everybody. She was on the streets, walk up and down, talk to neighbors. I'm not trying to pick on you, but I've never seen none of you in my neighborhood. I've never seen any of you ever ask any questions. Come up to people, wonder what's going on. You address them by we coming to you, and you're supposed to address these things. I can quote what your job should be, but all of you know what your job should be. You guys aren't full-time. I understand that. You're part-time employees. But your job is to serve the city of Warren and its residents. You're not doing too good a job doing that. You really should step up to the plate. We're citizens of this city. We deserve things. I've been here for 40 years. I pay my taxes on time. I keep my house clean. I've never once been rode up by Bright. I cut my grass regularly. I own a lot and a half. I keep my neighborhood clean. I walk around and clean the streets. And I just need to tell you, you need to step up. You really need to just step up and start doing your, I mean, this right here, this is appalling to me. Do you people allow these signs here? Do you approve that? Did all you approve them signs to be put up?
1 minute.
City council is for somebody to come and address their concerns with you. That's a sign. Nobody's holding it. Nobody's speaking. Why would you allow that? Would you like it if I made a sign and said the city council's not doing their job, they need to be replaced, and let me put it right there where it's seen every time the show goes on? You guys wouldn't like that, would you? Somebody wants to voice their concern, they should be here in front of this microphone and speak. Let them know. Let you know what troubles them and what's troubling them about this city. This is a strong city. You guys know that. But you're bickering on and off with the mayor and on and off with yourselves, and you know what's getting done in the meanwhile? Nothing. Nothing. You guys need to get together, come together. Listen to the people when we're complaining and see if you can address these complaints properly. You know, it's like the rest of the world. I honestly believe that everybody's just taking the Lord out of the picture. And without God, ain't nothing that's going to work.
3 minutes.
So let's just get together. Remember what your job is. Try to serve us properly. Because we want you to be there. You know that. We voted you in. See, if you don't do what we ask with you, you know, we can turn and try to get you voted out. So let's just, you know, let's step it up a little, guys. Let's do our job here. Let's do what we can do. Because, you know, I can have a sign made too.
If you could wrap up, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fred Neenstedt. Fred?
Good evening, Council. I applaud the speaker before me. Yeah, there's a sign ordinance, right? You enforce those ordinances? I wonder what it really means to have a flag out in front of your house. A proud veteran flying a flag, displaying it because he's proud he served his country. He does his public service day and night, an oath he took. And when neighbors vandalize that flag repeatedly, what is his recourse, Council? What is he supposed to do because he has a dissenting point of view? Is there an option? But you can't speak to that right now, can you? I think we know what needs to be done. It's called respect. You can be that example of respect. Step up. God bless.
Paul Jersey?
Good evening to council. Paul Jersey, 31408 Pinto. I rise today to express my appreciation and sadness for a 30-year business owner in Warren who recently passed away. Owner of E&E Engineering over on Miller Drive. His name is Matt Herzl. Matt gave me an opportunity when I was in my 20s. It's the second job I'd ever had. First one was at the meat shop in the Bavarian Center on Old 13, if everybody remembers that place. Actually filled out my first application with him, my first resume. Saw the job in the Macomb Daily, which is kind of dating myself now too. But I just felt it important to come and say something nice about Matt. Matt was a great human being, ran his business professionally, Warren business owner for 30 years, kept his property immaculate at all times, survived the 9/11 crash when all machine shops were shutting down. His business was making machine parts, replacement machine parts for Tier 3 automotive. And I heard about his passing. Not much chokes me up, but this one did. It really kind of hit home, and I just felt the need to come say something nice in honor of Matt. And you probably wouldn't like that. Matt wasn't really one that liked the limelight, but he was probably the person you saw and said, I know that guy, but I don't know his name. And great business owner. He'll be missed. God bless his family, and keep him in your prayers during this hard time. Thank you.
Mr. President, suspend the rules?
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Jersey, would you mention the gentleman's last name again for me?
It was Matt Herzl from E&E Engineering.
Can we get a moment of silence for Mr. Herzl? Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Jersey, for bringing it to our attention.
Motion to resume the rules.
Lori Harris.
Hi, Lori Harris. I am really glad there are a lot of people here today because I want to give information that I think would be helpful to a lot of people. The issue about flags, my understanding is that the Boy Scouts, and I believe that we're honoring some Boy Scouts here tonight, know how to take care of flags that are beyond repair, and they dispose of them honorably, and whoever has a tattered flag could get a new flag. That would be my suggestion, and not acting like a victim. I also want to commend Mr. Papandrea. He rarely ever goes to any other meetings. He doesn't go to the committee of the whole meetings, but he was last night at the planning meeting, and I imagine it was to support a marijuana business. But it would be nice if he attended committee of the whole and other meetings that help the city, or even events to celebrate the city, like the police officers sworn in, or the fire department, things like that. I also want to mention, so people understand, that planning and zoning, you need to come to these meetings, or at least look it up. We had something that the city council approved, hesitantly approved, and somehow the city attorney's office and the business owner, the developer, and the planning department, after the city council approved it, went ahead and changed the agreement. I'm not sure that's legal, but it sure seems underhanded. I also wanted to mention that coming to the meetings, citizens have had to fight for decent, healthy neighborhoods. There's a citizen in Warren whose neighborhood is being inundated with silica dust, which can cause lung cancer and other lung diseases. And he had to get a test from the EPA or EGLE or whatever it's called.
1 minute.
To demonstrate. Did you say 1 minute? Okay.
Yes,
30 seconds?
1 minute.
So, you know, when a resident has to do that and the city's not paying attention, that's a problem. We shouldn't have to fight so hard to have healthy neighborhoods. And I'm tired of fighting, but I'm going to keep fighting. And I hope that all the people that are here tonight see this as an opportunity to continue to fight for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Howard.
Good afternoon on this chilly day. Just wanted to, on a positive note, we have an amazing department on the second story, the community development department in the city. I recently was in one of the homes that they built, and it's like pretty spectacular. It has a humidifier hooked up to the furnace. It was really exciting to be in this new development. It's just really, really well done. And I was lucky to be able to attend some of their meetings, and just wanted to acknowledge Angela for the amazing work that she's doing in regards to community development. One issue that gets talked about occasionally in our city, I know me and Mr. Watts was at a meeting that kind of got derailed, and we talked a little bit too long about the issue of homelessness in the city, and frankly the greater metro area. It is a serious issue, and I believe that Warren can be a lighthouse to how can we actually help people that are in need. People fall into homelessness for a variety of reasons, and kicking them out of the city or just incarcerating them or ticketing them to only perpetuate the cycle of homelessness or poverty is not the correct answer. And I know that's not our city council's approach at all. So I thank you for that. I just hope that somehow we can figure out how to be a lighthouse to help people in need when we unfortunately have a large number of vets that are homeless, not just in our city but across our nation. So I just want to congratulate Angela for the great work that she's done. Thank you.
John Renaud.
John Renaud, 43-year veteran of the city of Warren. Thank you, Pastor, for your words. I appreciate that. I also appreciate the work that your church is doing within the community. I think it should be a model. We should use his church as a model for what we can do throughout this entire city. As you all know, we're all in the same boat here together. I mean, no one's any different than anybody else. You guys were all elected here to serve the public. Our mayor is elected to serve the public, and the divide that has been here since I've been coming to the meetings is it's just absolutely sickening. This is the third largest city in the state of Michigan. We had a plan to build a downtown. Because you guys don't like Mayor Faust, you wouldn't look at the plan. You guys can sit there and say that's not true. I was at every meeting. I know it's true. There was people that you could have asked questions to that were here that were very qualified. I think a lot of you up here, if you are thinking about running for the mayor's position, you should be very concerned. I'm not much for polls, because I think polls can be made up. But in the recent poll, he's got 57% of the vote in favor of running again for mayor. And y'all should be concerned, but you should also be concerned about working together for the citizens of this town. It's one of the best cities you could ever live in if we all work together at it. Our pastor friend here is doing more work to help the community than anybody I've heard of. And I think that's fantastic. Just a little church down on 9 Mile. No money, people putting hard work in, and we can all use that as a model to say, hey, that's great. I live in Warren. You know, I had some problems. I lost my job, but you know what? Somebody helped me. And like the other gentleman said, he came from Detroit as a police officer.
1 minute.
And the city councilwoman was out on the street talking to people. If you're going to run for council, that's what you have to do. I know there's a few you people here that do that, and I think it's that's great that you're doing that. But we all need to do it and stop the bickering. The cost to the citizens of Warren for having 2 law firms is astronomical. We have a law firm that is raping this city. They're going to be filing another lawsuit, a 9th lawsuit that the citizens are going to have to pay for. They have yet to tell you what the cost of that law firm is going to be to the city of Warren. Also, the city of Warren is filing lawsuits to counteract these things. That's not working together. You're all educated people, and you can all solve the problems together if you put your pride to the side. Thank you.
Joel Vanderlyn.
I respect Mr. Renard's remarks. He's a kind gentleman. He means well for the city. I just think he's a little misguided by his friendship with Mr. Fouts. I wish, Mr. Watts, you would take this. It's a rag, it's a present from my family. We no longer need this, and I want to give this to you.
Joel.
Did you hold it up?
No.
No. 16 years ago, I believed in that gentleman. I helped run his campaign. I went door to door for him. And then I started learning all the lies, all the misuse and abuse that he's did to the citizens of the city. And I wish that all the public knew of all the things this man has done and how he's misused your trust, your money, all towards his favor. Mr. Renard, we had a pleasant talk today. I wish you would learn all the trickeries that Mayor Fouts has done to you and your family. Now, Mr. Fouts is trying to get on the election as mayor. He's going by I'm trying to think of the proper legal term. He's going by the opinion of Mr. Vincent. Of course, Mr. Vincent's going to write an opinion that favors Mr. Fouts because Mr. Vincent needs a job.
1 minute.
According to what I've been told today by soon-to-be Mayor Nard, that the official opinion of those in Lansing is that Mr. Vincent's opinion is null and void and holds no substantial standing within the city or the charter. Mr. Fouts will not be on the ballot, at least not as mayor. For all of you that are voting for mayor, good luck. Have a blessed day.
George Didion.
You're welcome, sir.
Thanks. Good evening, council. I'm here regarding a property that I've lived in and owned for 40 years. I've just recently got notice that the city's trying to demolish it. I don't know the status, and I'm trying to get all the particulars to stop the demolition of the house. We've been working on it. It did fall a little bit behind in disrepair, but we're putting it back together just even today. I think Mr. Watts came out once and met me there some time ago, and since then there's been some improvement. They put stop work order on the house, and I went in to get a permit. I did get a permit, and the permit expired. I didn't get to finish everything that I needed to do because of just the time of COVID and people didn't come out. And now that they put a stop work order on, and they put a sign on saying that the house may be demolished. So we're trying to get information, or I'm trying to get all the particulars on what it is that they want, what it is that I should do, and I'm having difficulty speaking with the building department. And I also thought, well, if they're not going to give me any particulars, but I know what needs to be done and I can conquer it. It just takes me a little more time. Well, anyway, what I wanted to say also is that I have a realtor also here with me that was willing to put it up for sale as it is. Not that I want to sell it that way, but even when he went in to get information, building department won't return a phone call. It's same with an attorney. I had an attorney to speak, and they're not returning phone calls. So what I'm asking is if it's in the hands of council, just to give me a little more time, and I'll be happy to put it together and put it up for sale and be gone. I'm not looking to lose a house that I've paid over $100,000, I'm sure, in taxes in the last 40 years. And
1 minute.
Excuse me?
1 minute left.
Well, I think I don't know where to go from here. Can anyone tell me what to do?
Hang on.
I can't make out what
you'll need to go to you need to go to City Hall and speak to the people at the building department.
I did do that, and they're not answering. They refuse to speak.
Nothing's come over to council for any action. There's nothing on. Is it the address on Michael that you put on here?
Yes.
There's nothing that's come back to us. It's on our agenda. I'm sorry.
Mr. Watts has been there. I think maybe he could give me some information.
Okay, hang on. Is it on our agenda tonight?
No.
Okay, so it's not on our agenda tonight, so there's no action being taken by us tonight.
So I'm going to proceed working, and then I'll go get the permits if they're not going to give it now. If the inspectors are going to come out, then they can see that there's...
That's correct.
Okay, fine, thank you.
So monitor the agenda. If it's going to go through abatement, I don't believe it's going through abatement yet. We haven't seen it, so you would be notified of that process.
Okay,
and you can go there and make your case with the nuisance abatement.
Who's in charge there?
I don't know who's on that board now. Do you know, Gary? The public service director.
His name?
Gus Ganem.
That's who I've been speaking with, and my realtor also, and there's no return phone call. I
don't know what to tell you on that. I mean, the only action that can be taken by council would be to approve or deny an abatement. Starting the process, doing the process is not us.
I was under the assumption, or he led me to believe that that's where it is.
But it's not been sent over to us. So,
okay. Well then,
Mr. Lezay, can you add anything on this?
There you go.
It hasn't been sent yet.
I've been speaking with him also.
So those are the people you need to speak to, because we're going to rely on their recommendation to us.
Okay, I'm going to speak with him now.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We're good?
Yeah.
Good to go. We can work on the house. Thank you.
Vicki Uhayes.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm sitting with my signs about the ADA, and that's because the mayor and the department heads don't care about ADA in this city. So that is why I'm sitting with my ADA signs, just for the information. When I heard about Fouts being on the ballot, I called Sonia Buffa, and I talked with them, and I was told that there was just an opinion. So she said, call the city attorney's office. Well, I didn't get through there either. So then I decided to write them a letter, because I read on the city webpage that that's how I should do it. Well, the interesting thing is, the next day, I found out that Sonia Buffa, in fact, lied to me. She told me that he was not on the ballot, when in fact, he was on the ballot because of an opinion that the Election Commission had accepted. My vote matters. What the people voted matters. And Vincent's opinion does not. It's poorly written, and it's going to be another lawsuit. And what people keep saying about these lawsuits is they don't realize that the council is suing because the mayor is refusing to follow the charter. Pretty simple. So Right now, I have emailed to Sonia, to Mayor, and to Vincent. Guess what? No reply. And I'm not really going to hold my breath. I also think it's pretty crummy that the mayor has a website, and he won't allow people like me to talk to him. Again, I hear, communicate with him, talk to him, call him. Well, I'd like to talk to him on Facebook, but he won't allow me. It's the mayor who's refusing communication. So let's get that really straight. One other thing.
1 minute.
The city really let the residents down because our population here is very diverse. We have a wonderful population here. So I took it upon myself to write in the Warren Political page a thread on Black history. I have over 63 different articles and attachments on this thread. So if anybody really wants to do some learning, go there. Because I really spent a lot of time, and I went from everything from the good, the bad, the athletic, to the cooking, to the slavery, to who owned slaves. That was really interesting. It's such a variety of things. So I tried to help my way for Black History Month for the city of Warren.
Next item.
Next item is announcements. 10A, Eagle Scout recognition for Benjamin S. Cairns, Donovan Kelly, and Christopher R. Marzak. Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. President?
Mr. Lafferty.
I'd like to recognize that all three of these Eagle Scouts are in Ms. Moore's district, and they're part of the Boy Scouts of America Troop 1927. The Eagle Scout projects are very impressive this year, and these resolutions will be presented in person following Mass at St. Malachy next weekend. So look very much forward to meeting these young men in person and congratulating them on their Boy Scout careers. So congratulations to all three.
Thank you, Mr. Lafferty. Any additional announcements?
Mr. President.
Mr. Lafferty, then Ms. Moore.
Thank you. I'd like to offer congratulations to the Lady Spartans basketball team. They had an incredible undefeated season, and they are advancing to the district finals in basketball. I'm looking forward to seeing Fitz Nation win this Wednesday evening, and then again on Friday for their quest towards the championship. So way to go, ladies. Looking forward to a great win. Congratulations, Fitz.
Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to congratulate the police officers, command officers that received promotions, and all the new hires. It looks like a really good group of men that came in, and very nice families. Many of us attended a ceremony on Friday that was very nice to meet everyone. So we wish them.
Dispatchers.
Yes, dispatchers. Sorry, I forgot about dispatchers. And we welcome them and hope they have great careers here in Warren.
Any additional announcements?
Mr. President.
Mr. Kabczynski.
Mr. President, my announcement has to do with Black History Month. Unfortunately, I had a vehicle malfunction with the serpentine braking on my van, so I unfortunately missed the first part of the council meeting that was indicated earlier. But for my contribution to Black History Month is the first ever Black American woman was put into election here for the Michigan GOP. It is the first time ever in the history of the state of Michigan this has happened in either state conference, either the MIDNC or the MIGOP. So Mrs. Christina Karamo has made a history here in the state of Michigan, being the first elected Black chairman of the MIGOP, and I would like to offer her congratulations for Black History Month. In addition, recently, another announcement is having to do with the recent derailment that happened here in East Palestine. Several individuals from the State House of Representatives, Ms. Karamo, a city councilman from the city of Wayne, and also myself attended a rally in contravention to the dumping that would happen here in the state of Michigan. Contractors were also contacted in Macomb County and Oakland County besides Wayne. I joined those individuals, those lawmakers, to demonstrate against those toxic materials coming here into Michigan. Unfortunately, one was dumped at U.S. Ecology, but future ones were prevented at the Republic Waste Sanitation Station on Inkster Road, just south of I-94. So I wanted to announce that that was prevented from coming any further into Macomb County or Oakland County. I'm sure we all remember what happened with the hexavalent chromium that spill that happened on I-696, the green ooze, and we could be dealing with the same similar situation if the items, contaminated soil and contaminated water, made it here into Macomb or Oakland County. Luckily, it was stopped at Wayne and it was reversed. Thank you.
Any additional announcements? Next item.
Next item is 11A, which was tabled 2/28/2023, was a public hearing, consideration, and adoption of a resolution for the demolition of a garage only at 8204 Jackson, which is under the nuisance abatement program. Motion to remove from the table.
Support to remove from the table.
Motion by Morris, support by Lafferty, remove from the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion? Mr. Lezay, is there any progress? No progress.
Then motion to approve.
Support Lafferty for the purposes of discussion.
Motion by Morris, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Mr. Watts.
Yes, Mr. President. I know I checked the status on some things online, and if Mr. Lezay confirms that nothing's been done, I'm rather disappointed. I did drive down there, took a look at it. It's sad because it's a nice block, concrete block structure, and rather large. But you can tell this hasn't been like this since yesterday. It's been like this for a long time. I'm concerned about the garage door, the way the garage door is hanging backwards on it. It may be a safety issue there. I guess I had one question to my colleagues because I'm not familiar with this. Is there like any CBDG funds or any of those kind of funds that come in for this housing stuff we get that could help somebody like this before we just...
Not that I'm aware of for renovation. There's loans. There's low interest loans from some of the programs.
Okay.
But those, again, they take time. I had the same thought that you did. I mean, if we're willing to spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to tear it down, why can't we program that money towards the resident for keeping it? Because that's what we try to do in this, by tabling this for a couple of weeks, is if they showed the desire to keep the property, to keep the building, they would have been in the building department talking to Mr. Lezay the next day. And that's what we wanted to see, and we didn't see that.
Right.
But I thought that night that if we're willing to take money from one bucket to tear it down, why can't that go towards saving it?
Right.
But we have to figure out how to program that money. Because federal CDBG money, Community Development Block Grant, is programmed. We can only use it for certain things. And it's very limited.
If I may, to Mr. Lezay.
Mr. Lezay, do you have a moment? Come on. Come on down.
Come on down.
Where's the music?
Oh, that's a different scheme.
All depends on what he bids on the refrigerator.
That's right.
I did refer that homeowner to go to CDBG to try to talk to them in that department about acquiring funding. I know it's not an easy process. I think it's pretty difficult to get the funding from them, but I just said, I gave her the number, and the Gina, the director there, to speak with them, go inquire about it, but I'm not sure if anything was ever done.
So has there been, if I may, has there been any
Nothing, no
discussion, no correspondence for
Not
a
with me.
permit, no questions on a permit, no nothing
Not with
since
me,
then?
no, not with the
Okay.
building department.
All right.
I even put a flag there for anybody that came up there to come see me immediately on the computer, so when any of the staff would pull it up, they
Yeah.
would see it, come to me, and they got nothing, so.
No.
And we appreciate your diligence on this. We
Absolutely.
know it's tough, but, when we can try and save something, when the homeowner shows that they want to try and save it, it doesn't always work out, but we got to try.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lezay. Any additional? Call the question, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 6-0. Next item.
Next item is a public hearing to receive comments on the proposed Home Investment Partnerships American Rescue Plan application for home ARP funds.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to speak regarding this item?
Yes, I understand this is a public hearing, and in the backup information, the actual information for the public hearing is on the city website, and my phone doesn't have any more battery. So that should have been in our backup so that we could read what this proposed home investment partnership American Rescue Plan is. And you might need to clarify if this is part of the rescue plan money related to COVID. I don't think that it is, but it would be confusing since it says that. And I would like to request that when things like this come up and it's a public hearing, that that information be provided to the public in the e-packet, maybe in the Warren Weekly, but in ways that people can have input. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any additional?
Hey, again, I know I already touched on this during the public comments. I just would like to add that she does the department does a great job of letting the public know when meetings are attended. In the last one that I attended, I was the only person other than the director of the department there. And so it's an amazing program. Our city has a privilege of serving 11 different counties and helping on a lot of different things. And so a lot of great work that department is doing. I would just encourage residents to either contact the department via email to find out what they're doing, or just pick up the phone and call. She's one of the most accessible department heads in the city, and has been doing a lot of great things in our city behind closed doors, or not behind closed doors, but out of the public view. So I fully support this. I'm glad that this is happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional? Hearing or seeing none, I close the public hearing, turn the item over to council for, this is receiving comments, so receive and file. Is there a motion to receive and file?
Motion to receive and file.
Support.
Ms. Moore.
I was just going to state what the purpose of this is. The home ARP funds must be used to assist individuals or households who are experiencing homelessness, at risk of homelessness, and other vulnerable populations by providing affordable housing, rental assistance, supportive services, or non-congregate shelter to reduce homelessness and increase housing stability. And the amended 2021 annual action plan will serve as a grant application for the funds. And as was stated, the plan is on the city's website, and I agree with what was said, that backup should be on the council, and perhaps they will keep that in mind next year when they send this over. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional? We have a motion to receive and file. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item.
11C, which is a public hearing, request for rezoning with conditions located on the west side of Ryan Road, approximately 120 feet north of Dwight Drive, from present classification R1C, one family residential district, to R3 multiple family dwelling district, 27365 and 27389 Ryan Road, Section 18, Andy Salama, Amal Salama petitioner.
This is a public hearing.
Oh, public?
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to come speak regarding this item? Then when the audience is done, I'll call up the petitioner.
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, guys. I'm within the 500 feet. I got the postcards and whatnot, so I'm eligible to speak on this puppy. I live off of Garber, and I basically live in the back room of my house because I just love it so much. But what happens is I can hear Ryan Road like super well. And at least twice a year, I get to hear a car wreck. And I get to run out and scream at my husband, call 911. So for the last 10 years, we've had head-ons. It's just been every kind of accident there is. Because people, when they're at that 11-mile light and the light turns, they gun it and they just go. And so in order for us to exit off of Garber and to make a left on towards the 11-mile, we've got to floor it or we got to go into that turn lane. If you're going to put those condos there, you're going to have those people coming out into that turn lane. You've got head-on collisions plus. I have seen the fence on Garber and Ryan taken down 3 times. This last year, we had a car make it all the way to Coochie's, right up in their front yard. It's bad. And when, on Fridays, when you've got the traffic from the mosque, kiss it goodbye. I mean, it's insane. And so for the last 5 years, I've noticed that a group, it's age, you know, the younger guys who think that the turn lane is a passing lane, and they love it, they gun it. So if you're going to put in, I don't know how many units, 12 units, let's say 24, I don't care, you're going to have 2 cars per unit, and you're going to have all these cars trying to get out, and they're not going to make it without more accidents. I'm really begging you to keep this property 2 homes. Let it look consistent with how the properties are from 11-mile to 12-mile. I don't want these high rises. Even Coochie's is 1 level. So let's keep it the way it is. We don't need this traffic. This traffic will get people killed. I'm going to guarantee it. So please don't approve it.
Hi, my name is Debbie Mazer. I live at 27621 Ryan. My family has owned property or lived on Ryan since 1954. I have seen development of subdivisions on the east and the west side of Ryan. All of these are primarily ranch styles and single family. I frequently walk the neighborhood and recently counted the number of empty homes just on my walk. There were 16 houses, 3 for sale, 4 had city stickers on them, 3 were being remodeled, and some are rentals but are currently unoccupied. Of the occupied houses, nearly all have 2-car garage, and many have 3 or more vehicles. Many use their garage for 1 vehicle, for storage, or partially enclosed patios. The proposed development poses many concerns. First, the architecture is non-conforming to the neighborhood. It's multi-unit as well as not being ranch style. Second, the proposed 28 parking spaces seems inadequate. 8 of the 11 proposed units do not have a garage. If each unit is allotted 2 parking spaces, that leaves 14 additional spaces, 2 of which are designated handicapped, so it's essentially 12 spaces for those with a garage who choose to not use it for a vehicle, or a 3rd vehicle. Where are the overflow going to park? They can't park on Ryan, so they'll park either on Dwight, which is the corner is a school bus stop for neighborhood children, across the street on Garber, which means crossing 5 lanes of traffic, or 11-mile on Ryan. Third, as the last person talked about, the increased traffic is an issue. The distance between Garber, east side of Ryan, and Dwight on the west side of Ryan is approximately 500 feet. This proposal could have an additional 24 residents and delivery vehicles trying to make left-hand turns daily within the 500 feet. I have personally witnessed an increase in accidents on Ryan, including 1 car that went through my garage wall, another car crashed into a parked car across the street. As I was pulling into my driveway, a car rear-ended the guy in back of me, and the most recent was a truck that landed on my front yard, who was trying to make a turn onto Garber. I've contacted the Warren Police Department since 2020. There have been 70 accidents between Martin and 11 Mile. Historically, this property has not been kept up. The owner has owned it for 15 years and just recently started to clean it up after he chose to rezone it. Even the cleanup, it wasn't done by a professional crew or equipment, but rather by the owner's family because it was too costly to hire it out, which hints at the quality of the builders that they will choose to build this complex, which would have a negative effect on all of our property values. Rather than allowing this property to become a multifamily dwelling district, let's try improving our city and our property values by filling the vacant houses and making property owners accountable for their current property on a timely basis. In new developments, let's look at the neighborhoods, not just the individual parcels of land, to see the conformity of the development in the neighborhood and look at the traffic patterns to maintain and improve safety and not just cause more risk of accidents. I do not support the rezoning of this property, and thank you for your consideration.
Council, I live right across the street from this development, or so-called development. Last time I was at the zoning board meeting, it passed by 1 vote with conditions. So I don't really see what you can do tonight but to shoot it down. If it goes any further, it'd have to go back to the zoning board because no one knows what they're going to build there. No one's seen any drawings. We have no idea what they're going to cost. If they're rentals, or if they're apartments, or are they townhouses, are they condos? We don't know. So if these are your voters, these are your taxpayers, your residents of Warren, I don't believe anybody here that's got the notice about this zoning ordinance change is for it. So if you just listen to your citizens, that's all I need to say. Just listen to your citizens.
Good evening, Council. My name is Mike Antonich. I live at 27244 Ryan Road, across the street from the proposed site. Little about me, I'm a degreed mechanical engineer, and for 45 plus years I've had a residential builder's license. I have been speaking to my fellow neighbors, and we have many concerns. 6 properties alone across from this make up 8 acres of land. On these 6 properties, there's only 10 residents on there. And reminder, this property prior to the current ownership had 2 individual family residents on those. And I don't think any of us would object to that being built back again, 2 individual family residents. In the 80s, I was heavily involved in the development of Northwest Troy. Troy, to maintain the integrity and parity of their neighborhoods, developed a set of guidelines. You could build any type of home you wanted to, whether it be a colonial, a ranch, or a split level. You had to maintain this specific rules and regulations to build these homes. That's spec homes. And this property, the site that they're proposing, they're talking about building 11 or 12 individual units on this property. Where are they going to put them? I don't see anywhere where you can put that many properties on there. And further, if you look at each individual property with maybe 4 to 6 residents on there, now we're talking about 60 people in smaller than a 2-acre parcel. I don't understand how they can do that. That's more of a compound than a residential facility. Regardless of the promises that have been made, I've seen nothing but unprofessional labor working on this site. For example, there was 2 feet of grass on there, and the gentleman sitting right there is there for every one of these operations. Some guy pulls up with a car with a little small trailer and a tiny little garden tractor, and he's going to attempt to cut this 2 feet of grass. Well, he made it 10 feet, and they aborted that idea. Then they got that guy out of there, and I don't know how they cut it. I didn't see that.
I did see the gentleman, when they ended up with taking all the brush out of there, they ended up with a brush pile at least the size of your stage, probably a small home. Here comes a guy with a little teeny residential chipper. And he was at it for about 30 minutes, and they sent him off packing as well. The fence that they built there was hurriedly constructed of hodgepodge materials. The fence wasn't built to the building department's code. In fact, they didn't even pull a permit to build this fence. And most of this work that I'm discussing right now happens on weekends when the building department and property maintenance and all are closed. They can't contribute to this. All the work that I've seen on there so far, I've never seen a professional vehicle, lettered vehicle, where a professional is trying to effect any of these changes to these properties. And all the work that I've seen so far is sketchy at best. The fence is a hodgepodge of miscellaneous things, and it's really not placed where the city dictates that it should be. This is basically a higher-end blue-collar neighborhood. The neighborhood like this is where most of us have our homes as our largest and most valuable investment. One of these homes across from Ryan, from the site, is for sale. It's currently for sale for $449,000. I live a couple houses down from that. Mine has been loosely priced at high 3 to low 400s. We all know how this proposed compound is going to affect all of us surrounding long-term residents' property values or real estate comps. We've all worked very long and very hard to establish ourselves in these properties and establish the property values on these. In closing, Council, I please ask you to drive by this property, pull in, take a look. How are they going to place that many units and that many people on this postage stamp size lot? I don't see how they can do it. And I'd like to remind you that we all voted you to protect us from this situation, this type of a situation. We need our property values. We're all getting a little bit long in the tooth, and it's coming time for us to cash in on our investment, basically. And I feel that this would not protect our property values, and just, it's a blatant money grab is what it is, if you look at it. Thank you, Council.
There's a public hearing. Is there anyone else from the audience who'd like to speak regarding this item?
Good evening, Council. My name is Gary Osolinsky. I live at 27407 Ryan Road. My property is on the northern boundary on the property under discussion right now. And I'm asking the City Council to vote no and deny this petition to rezone to R3 with conditions. Why? Because whether it's just R3 by itself or R3 with conditions, it's still R3, and it must follow the R3 construction rules and regulations. And these rules are kind of lean towards apartments, duplexes, fourplexes, townhouses, condos. And also, building height is changed from our regular R1C, single family ranch construction. The building height on a R3 is not to exceed 35 feet or 2.5 stories. The site plan that we are voting on today has all 2-story buildings on it. I don't know if you have access to your e-packet information, that you're able to pull it up, because on page 390 of your e-packet, item 4, general description of the surrounding properties, it says that you will see that this entire area is R1C. This property, 3 sides are all surrounded by R1C properties, and the homes behind those homes are all 1C. Ryan Road borders this property on the east side. On the other side of Ryan Road, R1C. And beyond those homes are R1C. What I'm getting at is this is a solid R1C area. So what does this request to rezone to R3 with conditions, what's it going to do? Well, if you look at the site plan, or if you look at page 390 of your e-packet, you probably have already looked at it and perhaps even got it memorized, but if you look at that page, you look at item 5, this site plan is going to contain 3 major structures. One building is going to be 26 feet wide by 118 feet long and 2 stories high. And it's going to be close to the northern border. The second building is going to be 26 feet wide also, 118 feet long and 2 stories high. It's going to be close to the southern fence. And the third building is going to be close to the western fence, and it's going to be 35 feet wide, 100 feet long, and 2 stories high. This construction is totally out of character for this area. It's not consistent with the homes in the surrounding area at all. These 2 properties are vacant now, but there used to be 2 homes on there. 2 families used to live there. And if you figured 2 homes per family, you're looking at about you're looking at 2 homes and 2 vehicles per family. You're looking at 4 vehicles. Well, this site plan is looking to have 8 units or 8 families, not 2. It's looking to accommodate 28 parking spaces, not 4 or 5. And when you listen to the other homeowners that have already approached this microphone, you understand what they're talking about. The congestion that's going on, not only on Ryan Road, but it's just within this is a confined area. It is already fenced in. There is no spillover. Ryan Road is the only egress and egress. So, at the Planning Commission meeting on September the 26th, 2022, in your e-packet on page 436, Mr. Worth, our planning director, said, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing here, but he said, the reason for conditions is what you see is what you get. Now you think about that. What you see is what you get. When you look at the footprint of this site plan, what you see is what you get. 3 major, what do you want to call it? 3 major buildings. They don't even call it residential. They call it 3 major, there's 3 major buildings on there. And if you approve this rezone to R3 with conditions, this is what is going to be built. There is no redo, there is no go back and make something more conforming to this area. This is it. This is what is going to be built. That's what will be coming at us. No ifs, ands, or buts. So, all I can say is, if you approve it, that's what's going to happen. If you say no, then the petitioner is going to have to look at his agreement. And even in the agreement, and if you look on page 388 of your e-packet, item 6A, there's a note that says 2 parcels, well, the 2 parcels that are there now could be used for new residential dwelling. So in essence, you're giving him one option to replace the homes that have been demolished, or a potential for 4 residential parcels with a 30-foot private driveway. That would still give us something with an R1C tone to it. It would be compatible to what's in our area. And it would be more in character of what the construction is, more in character of what the architecture is. So, in closing, I would ask the council to vote no and deny this request to rezone to R3 with conditions. Thank you.
Good evening. I know I got up here and spoke before, and it was kind of lengthy. I apologize for the length. However, I do have documentation, URLs, maps from the U.S. Geological Survey and the Warren Engineering Department. I would like them placed in the public record. And oh yes, the Warren Engineering Department cannot give me an answer as to why a storm drain is in the back of my property. Warren doesn't build storm drains without a purpose. There's underground water and it runs daily. Thank you. I won't take any more of your time.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I appreciate your time and patience in listening to our concerns. We really, really appreciate it as a neighborhood. My name is Janet Broadwell. I've lived at 27319 El Captain for about 36 and a half years. My husband and I moved here from Detroit, and we only planned on staying for a couple of years, but we fell in love with the neighborhood and the neighbors. Many of our neighbors are still our neighbors today. We have that sense of community in our neighborhood. I'm opposed to this proposal for a number of reasons. It would result in nonconformity of the structures in our neighborhood, as my fellow neighbor have mentioned in the past. It would result in congestion in and around the site, increased traffic, increased noise, rodents, and problems with trash and garbage. As a neighborhood, we all take pride in our homes. Our neighborhood is almost exclusively ranch homes with well-maintained and landscaped yards. It's rare that we have stray trash. And if we do, even if it's not on our own property, we immediately go pick it up. Our houses are in good repair. We know our neighbors, and our neighbors know us. And we look out for one another. And we look out for the best interests of our neighborhood as a whole. Now, the addresses of 27365 and 27389 Ryan have been under the same ownership, I really don't know how long, but well over 10 years. And over the years, the property owner really honestly has not maintained this property. Oftentimes, the grass and weeds are overgrown. The property is littered with trash, yard waste, and other assorted refuse. The house that was on the property sat empty and, I believe, condemned for many years, creating a health and safety risk for our neighborhood. The home was only recently demolished and the property cleared of overgrown grass and shrubs and vines. This happened, coincidentally, when the property owner decided that he was going to be looking for a zoning change. The property owner now is proposing to build 11 condos. And we've talked about how congested that would probably be. But I also want to add in that in addition to the 22 cars for the residents and guests, the entrance and exit drives out of the property and there's going to be commercial trash bins there as well. At least 11 families with children and their cars, motorcycles, toys, bikes would all add to the congestion and the noise and the air pollution. In addition to this, pets must also be considered for the population. If I'm not mistaken, Warren allows for at least 5 adult pets per household. 5 times 11 is 55 pets. 55 pets, I'm a dog lover, but 55 pets with their associated noises, smells, waste matter would only add to this. The multi-level condos just don't fit in with our neighborhood. As my neighbors have already mentioned, we are all ranch-style neighbors, houses in the neighborhood. This owner has presented that he was going to put a cement wall around this complex, which sounds good until you realize the people that are surrounding, the residents that are already there, will be looking at a cement wall rather than open space. My deep concerns, in addition to the above, are because this plan would result in an increase in traffic. Now, that would consist of residents' cars, then you have Amazon trucks, UPS, FedEx, the Postal Service. Oh yeah, we have landscaping trucks. And we're going to have garbage collectors coming in and out. Now, with those garbage collectors, the owner has proposed that he's going to put, I believe, 2 or 3 of the commercial garbage bins. Now, if I lived adjacent to this property behind it, and where our house is we're behind it, but we're across the street on El Capitan. But if I lived directly behind it, I would be very upset to hear that noise from the garbage truck slamming and banging those garbage bins down. Now, I've not ever known any commercial garbage collectors to leave a totally clean atmosphere after they collect their garbage, which is going to lead to trash, which is going to lead to probably increased rodents. We just finally have gotten the rodent situation under control from when they reconstructed 696. Ryan Road is already heavily traveled, as we've already discussed. Oftentimes during rush hour, the southbound lanes can have traffic backed up to Martin Road. The additional cars turning in and out into this complex would only add to the accidents. So what would the likely conclusion be? The residents are going to be taking Dwight and El Capitan to either circumvent their route to go up to Martin Road, or take Martin Road and come down Dwight and El Capitan to get onto Ryan Road. We live right at the curve of Dwight and El Capitan. We've already had 1 car totaled when we parked on that curve, and 1 car was serious damage done to it because of that curve. In fact, at that curve, there's a couple houses down from us, there are 3 or 4 cement pylons because accidents have happened over the years, probably before we moved in there, but nonetheless, there's a reason for those cement pylons to be there. When my kids were going to school, our bus pickup was right at the corner of El Capitan and Dwight, which really isn't a corner, it's a curve. But Warren Consolidated told us that we weren't going to be able to have our kids picked up there anymore because it's too dangerous. So I really don't want to have increased traffic on our street. Now, we don't have any more small little kids, but there are children in the neighborhood, and there are cars that park on the street. Now, the owner of the property, he really doesn't know our neighborhood. In fact, at one of the meetings, his son said, you know, I took a drive around your neighborhood, and I never realized what a nice neighborhood you have. So to me, that's indicating that they're not invested in our neighborhood. Their only investment is how much money they can get out of this property. In addition, there was a similar project proposed just last year on Ryan and Parent. Now, that proposed project was voted down with good reason. It was a similar type project, and the neighbors got out and voiced the same concerns that we're voicing. So I'm hoping, and I certainly hope, that with us voicing our concerns, that you will vote this proposal down. And thank you very much, those council members. All these points that I brought out, I had emailed each one of the council members. And I really appreciate you all reading it and responding, or at least acknowledging my email. Thank you very much for your time.
Second time's a charm. Sitting here watching this is pretty cool. You know, sitting back there, just average people coming up, talking, voicing their opinions, expressing their gratitude. It's nice. Makes me feel good to be a Warren citizen. Okay, like I said before, my name's Philip Paquette. I live on El Capitan. I'm 11 houses off of Ryan. So I'm really not touching, my property doesn't really connect with the rezone, but I'm within the 300 feet. So I got the notice last year. Come to a couple meetings. Every time it came to a meeting, it got postponed, pushed back. It was just like a run around. I got tired of it. I stopped coming. I got this letter delivered by the clerk. Came home from work, it was there. So now we come to the important stuff. Okay. Everybody that spoke before me, I appreciate your opinions and your concerns. I back you up 100% on everything you've said, and it's really good. Okay, so I'm going to start over again. So I'm going to say an influx of new people that would move into the proposed units. We don't know if they're condos, townhouses, apartments. The young lady said, that spoke after me the first time with the red hair, she made an offhand comment about low-income housing. And as Gary's been talking about, once the zoning is changed, there's 4 or 5 different configurations that can be picked upon. I don't think anything's been picked upon yet or settled on for exactly what they're going to be. Is it a condo? What's the value of the condo is going to be? You know, are they going to be in the price range of, you know, the surrounding community, tax bases, you know, stuff like that. Gary also mentioned the size of the buildings, and he was kind of like trying to, it was hard to figure out what the thing was going to look like. It's going to look like 3 barns, 2-story pole barns. Except these are going to be fitted with plumbing, you know, and they're going to have basements. You know, I don't know if they're going to be, the foundations will even support them. Okay, so the increased people until, you know, they're going to want to pack them as fast as they can, so you're going to have a whole bunch of new people. Nobody's going to know who they are. And, you know, we're going to be forced, the long-standing members of the community are going to be forced to have to absorb this and figure out, you know, are they on the up and up or on the, you know. And if it is local housing, there's going to be a high turnover rate probably. So you're going to have people moving in, moving out. About 4 years ago, 2 houses north of me, it was set up like the garage door never shut. A van pull up, 6 guys would get out, 6 guys would come out of the house, they jump in the van. They lived that way for 18 months, and then to come to find out, they had 30 guys living in the basement and 20 women living upstairs. They were separate. They all had cots in the floor. So I don't know what's going on with that, and I don't know what's going to be going on here. Okay, the increased traffic. Just late summer, there was a really bad accident on Ryan. Somebody was coming out from the east side of Ryan. Somebody was speeding north on Ryan, and it carried through and it blew over to the back over to the west side of Ryan. Okay, the market values are going to go down. It's going to be right for criminals, giving them easy access. A 6-foot wall for a criminal, they pull the car up, jump over. They're in my backyard, or my neighbor's backyard. The lighting, the people are going to need lights. So at night, the people on the, you know, my neighbors south of me, they're all gonna have their backyards lit up. You know, you can't put dark lights up. They're gonna have to be bright lights because they're gonna be street lights. Okay, getting into the buildings, you know, themselves. Are these going to be green technology buildings? You know, everything's up and coming, going green, solar powered, batteries. Are they going to have electric car charging stations? You know, anything like that? You know, young people want to speak up on something, you know, that might be something good to talk about. And getting back to the size of these buildings, so you're going to have blacktop in a building with no green space. You take that whole property, lay out that square footage, you're going to have roofs and parking spaces. So where's all that rainwater going to go? Where's all that snow melt going to go? Where are they going to pile the snow when it does snow? There's no place to store it. So then you're going to be bringing in more trucks, more equipment to remove the snow to get it out of there. Okay, they're talking about putting up dumpsters. Okay, we all know what time dumpsters get emptied, 2, 3, and 4 in the morning. We see them on the way to work every morning. You'll go early. The only ones you see out are the dumpster, the big loaders. And I don't see no plans or heard anybody say anything about recyclables. You know, what about people that want to recycle? What are they going to do with their stuff? Everything going to go in the trash? What's the sense of recycling? Which is going to lead to rodent issues. And as the one lady said, any overflow parking will surely happen on Dwight. Unless the guy with the big lot across the street wants to rent out overflow parking place, like a concert or something, you know, because people are going to have parties, they're going to invite friends over, they're going to have family get-togethers, you know. Hell, you have a family reunion, come on over, man, I got my new place. You know, you might have 30, 40 cars. Where are they all going to go?
Mr. Paquette, if you could wrap up, please.
Okay, so for these reasons, I ask that you vote no on this rezone. Thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
So any additional for the public hearing?
Good evening, Council. My name is Dennis Fuller. My wife and I have lived and raised our family on what is just south of this proposed development on Dwight Drive. So our backyard fence backs up against the side of this proposed development. We started talking about this coming here to the zoning people, the zoning board, back in this, let's see, it was early summer last year. And the meetings were short and got put off a little bit here and there. We learned a little bit about what was going on. And in August, the developer and his family put together what they called a informational meeting. Now this was after everything was already set. They just said, oh, there's an informational meeting. Come on, we want to talk to you about this. We want to hear from the community. That was it. We want to hear from the community. So we showed up. It was at the Ukrainian Center. Very nice. There weren't a lot of people there, maybe 15 of us or so. And they wanted us to talk about our concerns. So we said, hey, do you live here? No, we don't live here. Well, would you like to have this development in your backyard? And the two young children of the developer, they said, hell no, we wouldn't want that. In fact, we're going to be forced to live there because our dad wants to make it look like we're really involved in this. So we said, oh, okay, that's interesting. Thank you for telling us. So then we had some other concerns. One was, you know, we have, these houses are 60 years old in our neighborhood. They're ranch-style houses. So this proposal has, you know, 2 stories, large, clearly multifamily zoning, or is what they're asking for. We said, well, could you have thought about 1-story units to kind of fit in? They said, no, we're not talking about 1 story. Well, do you think you could talk about less than 32 parking spaces? No, we gotta have all those because we want all these units. So we gotta have 32 parking spaces. Oh, okay. What about the fact that this place is gonna look like a prison dropped down in the middle of our neighborhood? Oh, well, I guess it depends on what you think a prison looks like. You know, so that's kind of where this informational meeting was going. I remember asking them, you know, you've had this property about 10 years or longer, 15, whatever. There they are, they're sitting there. Could you have come to us like 2 years ago when you started thinking about this, or 3 years ago, and told, you know, and gotten some input from us then, rather than just having this so-called informational meeting to just tell us what you're doing rather than trying to work something out? And they said, well, we sacrificed a lot. We want to get our money out of this. So first it was 8 units, then 12 units, then 10 units. We're not sure how many units it is at this point. But the average price of these was supposedly going to be around $150,000. Well, that's $1.5 million. They're asking us to subsidize in lower property values. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it makes sense to you. And I ask you to please turn this down. Thank you very much.
Any additional?
Good evening, Council. My name is Mark Broadwell. I live at 27319 El Capitan with my wife, and directly behind the proposed site. I too composed an email and sent to each one of you regarding my concerns, and I appreciate you considering my concerns with that email. My family moved to this neighborhood in Warren in 1987 with the expectation, like a lot of young families, we'll be here 5 years and then we'll move on. But we fell in love with the neighborhood. We fell in love with the beauty, the cleanliness, safety, and the uniformity of the neighborhood. The streets, the lots, the grass, and especially the single-family ranch homes. There was a lot of uniformity. They were single owner, and it all fit together. It all looked right, it all fit together. There's no commercial buildings, haven't been, no apartments, no condos. And there certainly are no multi-level, multi-family units anywhere to be found. This proposal is a very bad idea. Mr. Salama's land consists of 2 lots, as we've already heard, each zoned for a single-family home. Consider that. I mean, they're a little longer, perhaps, than the average lot, but this is space designed for 2 family homes. His proposed buildings, 2 stories and I guess 11 units with all the parking spaces and all the other things we've mentioned, severely crowds these lots and is not consistent with our neighborhood. It doesn't fit. The owner has owned this property for well over 10 years and has been very negligent in taking care of the property. The grass has been high, as my fellow neighbors had mentioned. The home that sat there for the majority of 10 plus years was condemned and abandoned and sat there with rats and all kinds of problems. There are animals living in the house. It was just recently demolished, probably in coordination with this proposal. Trash was not picked up. And our neighbors, as has been stated, we take pride in our neighborhood. We take pride in the cleanliness. We pick up each other's errant things that might fly around the neighborhood. We take care of our property. This owner has not demonstrated pride in ownership or responsibility in his property. And we don't trust that he will do as he says he will do and take care of the property. Approval of this zoning change would significantly reduce green space, increase noise levels, place large garbage dumpsters, as we've mentioned, near the back of the property, increase traffic, which is a major concern, disrupt clean sight lines, and will have a negative effect on property values, as we've stated. And we were also told at this informational meeting that was mentioned, If these units are not able to be sold, they will become rentals. So this facility, in effect, will become, at least partially, an apartment building with transient people, with people who don't have a vested interest in our neighborhood. And about that traffic, it's already been stated, but if we have 11 units, 22 residents' cars of their guests, delivery drivers, mailmen, maintenance trucks, all those things that we've mentioned, adding all this on 2 lots. Just think about that for a second. Morning and afternoon rush hour on Ryan is ridiculous. It's backed up all over the place, and the accidents we've already heard about. This makes no sense. And the mention of 9/11, EMTs having to get into this facility with one single lane road all the way around. What if they're trying to get in there and the road is backed up? Not a good condition at all. That's very bad. Traffic on our street, which is El Capitan, is minimal. But as was stated before, people think alternative ways to get around traffic, and they're going to cut through our neighborhood. This is traffic that we don't want. This is traffic that we don't deserve in our neighborhood. So in conclusion, I please ask you to vote no on this rezoning proposal. This proposal is totally incompatible with our beautiful Warren neighborhood and would negatively affect the area for years. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional members of the public who would like to speak regarding this item? Ms. Harris.
I don't live there, but I support these neighbors, and I want to say why. Because I came to this, to the meetings for a pocket, one home lot by my house that ended up having 10 or 12 townhouses built on it. It has a very narrow pathway in. It's not going to, like a fire truck could not turn around, or an ambulance. The construction, it's already falling apart before it's even done. The shingles are coming down, the gutters aren't done right.